Hey, everybody. It is July 11th, and this is the first edition where Terrence and I are going to be sharing both of our biggest takeaways from the previous week in terms of the lessons that we've learned as we help our 60 plus tech firms break free from referrals and build a consistent pipeline. So each of us are just going to be sharing kind of that primary takeaway that we've had from the week and something that's really helped our clients out. So, with that being said, Terrence, what's your biggest takeaway from this week?
I didn't realize we weren't recording before, but I totally articulated it well. Now I'm going to try and see if I can capture the essence of it again. So my big takeaway is speed the lead, right? So what does that mean? All right, let me back up a second, right? Because a lot of firms that have grown by referrals and their network and word of mouth and all that good stuff, and have that inherent trust that's passed on to them from a network lead or from a referral or from client referral, right? So, which is totally different than going out to a cold market. A cold market can be, cold email. It can be cold messaging on or DM on LinkedIn or Twitter or Instagram or whatever. Or in our case, right, because our primary business model is running paid advertisements, right? And so, like those are totally different. And I was really slow to come to the importance of the speed to lead thing, because I think so many of my businesses in the past have been the same way. We've grown on referrals and network leads and things of that, and you just don't have to. And so someone's like, hey, calls and leaves a message or sends an email, like, hey, we're trying to do this. Like, cool. Like, get back to them later that day. Like, hey, can we meet later this week? But there's no sense of urgency, right? It just isn't, because there's just that inherent trust that's already been passed on, and there's no need to make that immediate connection. Whereas when you're going out to a cold market, and I'll just be specific to our business model, which is running paid ads, it is imperative to make that initial engagement and connection, because that person could be scrolling through, right, waiting for their wife to come back from the bathroom while they're at dinner, and she's already told him, don't be on your phone at dinner and be present. And he's like, okay, sure. And he's like, all of a sudden sees my ad, and of course that's gonna hook him in, right? So he's like literally watching it. He like does it, opts in really quick. His wife comes up, she's like, what are you doing? He's like, nothing, I was just checking the weather, or checking a traffic report. And and like now he's completely forgotten about me and my great ad, right? So if I connect with him the following day, let's call it, he's like, he didn't even remember. Like, he, in between then, he may have clicked or submitted on like 3 or 4 different ads for a similar service. So that speed to lead becomes super important, especially with running ads. I mean, you're paying a lot of money. Like in our case, we're paying a lot of money every day to run these ads, to get our ICP to respond to us and to opt in. And it is really, really important within that 5-minute time frame. And I used to think that was like, come on, right? But I have some statistics for you. So there is a 391% increase in lead conversions when you respond within the first 5 minutes, right? 400%. That is crazy.
That's nuts, man.
A response within the first 5 minutes is significantly more effective than waiting 30 minutes, 21 times more effective. So what that means is, if you respond within 30 minutes or you respond within 5 minutes, responding within 5 minutes is 21 times more effective. So you can start to see the exponential effect there the longer it goes out. That's just the difference between 5 minutes and 30 minutes, right? And here's another one for you. 78%, speaking of someone that's clicking on ads and opting in, 78% of buyers choose the first responder. So meaning, right,
Wow.
if a person's, clicking on different ads and opting different ads, they're going to buy, typically 80% of them will buy from the first responder, right? So companies that respond within an hour are 7 times more likely to qualify a lead, which a lot of times that's all we're doing, right? Just like, hey, reaching out. Hey, I saw you clicked on my ad. What was it that resonated with you, right? Like, we don't have to talk now. I know you're probably in the middle of dinner. Oh, your wife's coming? I'll put the phone down. I'll talk to you later. But at least you've made that connection, right? But you're 7 times more likely to qualify a lead, even in that maybe 30 seconds, right? So there's just a ton of statistics that support the speed to lead. It's so imperative. It's so critical. I'm a firm believer in it now. Yeah. So how is that for a
No, dude, it's amazing to hear those stats, because obviously we do this enough, like, for ourselves. We do it for, the 40, 50 plus active clients that we have. And, from just a pure like gut standpoint, I can tell that that's the case. But to actually hear the numbers and have you quantify it is actually, it's mind blowing. And really, like, a good example of this too, like something that I think about a lot is for ourselves, like we have a pretty good speed to lead process in place. I wouldn't say it's even like the best, but it's about definitely above average speed to lead process in terms of like calling the opt-ins that come into our funnel. And typically we see about $150 cost per booked call on our ad campaigns. The crazy thing about that is for our clients who aren't as, aggressive in terms of the speed to lead, we're seeing like a double to triple cost per booked call. But you know what the crazy thing is? The cost that we're paying for every opt-in is pretty much the exact same for ourselves as it is for our clients. So let me just put that into perspective. Every opt-in that comes into your funnel is a chance for you to then reach out to them and book a call. The crazy thing about, looking at that is we have the same cost per opt-in as our clients do, but we're getting a 3 times lower cost per booked call, which means that just by having that good speed to lead process in place, it's decreasing our actual like call cost by 3 times. So that's just amazing.
It supports this. Yeah, it supports the statistics that I just read off, and like that's and let's be frank, it's one of the tougher things to do. And like I said, I wasn't a big subscriber of it, right? So even early on in our process, when we first started running ads for ourselves, I was like, I just didn't subscribe to it, to that 5-minute speed to lead type of thing. But I now see how important it is. It's critical to our product. It's critical to the options. We're able to pull through so many more deals. Your statistics support that. And but I guess in all fairness, what I'm saying is that like, if you're sitting there watching this and you're like, oh man, yeah, I know. But I would say 95% of the businesses out there aren't good at the speed to lead.
And I think it's for that reason that by being really good at the speed to lead component, it's just such a differentiator, right? Like even we see it all the time because, you and I, we like to opt into a lot of different ad funnels because, we're marketers and we're curious. We like to see what their funnel process looks like. But I'm also always curious to see, like when I opt into somebody's ad, am I going to get a call immediately? Am I going to get a text? What do their sequences look like? I'm just curious like that.
Yeah.
And what I found is that even for like very high level marketing companies, the speed to lead is really, really poor. Yeah. And so I think the one thing that I'd want to say to the tech founders out there is I'd say 95% of marketing companies that are advertising have a really poor speed to lead. So I'm willing to bet that it's over 99% of tech companies that are advertising have a poor speed to lead. And that's just the best possible way that you can differentiate yourself and get more out of the money that you're already spending on any paid advertising.
I'll tell you what, I totally agree. And here's what I'm going to say is there's like a low bar, right? It's a low bar really to be better than 90% of the people. And even if you're like, okay, so like, here's some tactical stuff, right? Like you can go, hey, like you could literally set up, you've done that for us, right? A Slack notification, right? That it will come into your Slack channel. So an opt-in basically will trigger, it'll show the information, the name, email, phone, and you could literally do this manually. Because if you're not getting huge volume, and we get probably, 10 to 15 opt-ins a day, right? Which isn't super high volume. I mean, we're spending a lot of money, but again, we are very targeted in our ICP. But if, let's just say you get 1 or 2 a day, right? And you have it pinged to your Slack channel, and it comes with email and phone number. As simple as literally copy and paste that email address, send a 2-line email to the person, right? Hey, just saw you opted in. Want to see if you have any questions. Would love to, get together for a 15-minute intro call or whatever. If I can send you information, whatever it may be, right? Doing that and sending a text message. Hey, didn't want to bother you. I know you just opted in. I've got some stuff I can send over to you. Let me know how we can be helpful for your buying process. Those 2 things. If you do those 2 things, that's not even picking up the phone. That's not, because I think a lot of times people speedily like, hey, Terrence, and I'm in this part here. I'm not good at like, hey, someone opts in and like pick up the phone and call, because frankly, I don't want to be called. But if you text me or email me, I will respond to that. So, but even if you just do those 2 things, if you're like, hey, don't worry about feeling like a cold caller or intrusion and so on, just send that 2-line email and the 1-line SMS message, and you'll be better than 90% of the firms out there. And that will, your speed to lead, you're within the metrics, or you're within the KPIs, right?
Like you said, it's such a low bar. It really is. Like just that simple text message in the email puts you above 90%. And then if you're getting 2 opt-ins a day and you pick up the phone and call them within 5 minutes, you're above 99% of the firms.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that's lesson 1 from this week is speed to lead. Let's talk about lesson 2, which is a little bit more on like the marketing side for our tech firms. And so this is something that you and I talk about every single day for our clients. Myself and the entire client delivery team at Grow IT talks about every single day, and it's the number one most important thing for a tech firm trying to break free from referrals and build that consistent pipeline is actually building an offer that is optimized for cold traffic. And so that's a big topic, right?
That's a big. I was going to say, it's. I just thought about this too because I was watching an Alex Hormozi video. I don't know if any of you out there have watched. Right, he's he is a big marketer guy. He had his own business called Gym Launch, which he sold for, I don't know, 20, 30 million, something like that. But anyway, he's written books on this, and he talked about this yesterday because he's ready to launch his new one, which I think is called Money Models. I think in the middle of August.
Mm-hmm.
The first one was offers, yep. Right? $1 million offers, I think what it was called. And the second one was
$100 million leads.
Yeah, correct. And he said that when all three of these books were actually one book, but as he actually got into the section on leads and was like, man, this is going to be more than a chapter. This is going to be its own book. But then the more he realized, he's like, well, you can't do lead gen unless you have an offer. So then he went and wrote the offers book first. And I think it's such a critical lesson to understand that before you go out to a cold market, whether it's email, DM, or in this case, paid ads, is to make sure that you have constructed an offer. And maybe you can kind of walk us through some of the components of what makes up an offer.
Yeah, let's talk about that. But let's first talk about why the 99% of the tech firms that we talk about struggle when they try and go from. So let's actually go back one step further.
Okay.
Out of all the tech firms that we talk to, we have, over the last 3-4 years, of the thousands that we've talked to, I don't know if we found a single one that is doing well outside of referrals and network leads, right? 97%, let's say, of those tech firms that we talk to have grown their entire business based on referrals, based on network leads, and they all struggle when they actually try and go outside of that box and add in some other form of, business development, whether it be, cold email, ads, SEO, anything like that. And the reason being is most of the tech firms that we talk to, they try and sell the same offer/service to a cold audience as they've been selling to their warm referral leads. And that just fundamentally does not work, because when a lead comes in through a referral channel, you're naturally already have some built up trust with that person, right? Because they're coming in through a trusted, third party or whatever it may be. And they're coming in with a need. And so when they come in with a need, it's very easy to say, hey, like, we'll solve whatever, software dev challenges that you have. You don't have to have a specific offer because they have something in mind. There's already that like trust that's been bridged to you. And so that's very easy to sell those referral leads. But when you try and take that same offer out to a cold audience, it's a completely different story, right? And that's what 99% of tech firms try and do, is they try and go out and like, maybe they're a managed IT service provider. It's like, hey, we'll manage your IT services we'll manage small business IT services. Great. That works well for a lead that's been referred to you who already has that need. But if you try and go to the market with that offer, you're going to get crickets. And that's what pretty much every single, tech firm that we've talked to, that's the process that they've gone through. And so step number 1 is figuring out what that cold traffic optimized offer looks like. And there's a couple really important parts to that we, go through with every single client. There's the specific call out, like who is it and what is the pain point that they're going through? Like that's part number 1 of coming up with a good offer. Part 2 of coming up with a good offer is the so what? Like, what is the desire? What do they care about? That's something that we harp on constantly as we're creating these client ads, is like going out to the market and saying, we'll manage your IT services for you. That's not a good offer, because it's, it's a broad call out And there's no so what. It's like, so what? Why do I care if my IT services are managed? Yes, that might work if with a referral lead because they already understand that. So what? They have the problem, so they're coming to you. But when you're going out to a cold audience and you're trying to get, stand out from the market, you have to call out that so what. Like, and what is the so what? As a business owner, Terrence, for us, like in that managed IT services example, we're not tech people. We don't know like how to manage our own IT services.
And we don't want to, right? Like
Exactly.
it's not our core competency. Like that's not something we want to focus on, right? And you think about the pain points that are behind that part, right? Which is like, hey, I don't want to, we have enough as entrepreneurs that come into our day to deal with that a tech thing that I don't have the interest or the ability to deal with comes up in my day. Like, but you've got to then call that out. That would be my pain point. Like, Terrence, have you been called out by your, remote employee where blah, blah, blah didn't work, and then come to find out you spent 3 hours and she didn't have her printer printed in or plugged in, right? And I'm sure all the tech guys out there are like, oh my God, I feel that pain. But that's what you've got to get to. Because if you said to me, it's like, hey, we do managed services, Terrence, I'm like, I don't care. Like, what? Who cares?
But right? For like you and I,
features and benefits.
If you're marketing to a small business owner in that case, like what the offer that's going to win is like, look, Terrence and I in our business, we just want to scale without tech headaches. Like we don't want technology to be a constraint to our growth. And we certainly don't want to think about it, right? Like we want that off of our plate. We want that headache passed on to someone else. And so the offer there has to go into that desire, right? The desire to take the headaches off your plate, the desire to grow free without any of those tech constraints. And so those are really the key, like first two parts that we think about with an offer. The third part of an offer is like the actual unique mechanism in that offer, right? So like whenever we're coming up with an offer, we really think of it as like the call out, which is like your ideal client profile and the pain point. The desire, like what is it that they actually want? What's the dream outcome that you can deliver for them? Which for our case, like for an IT service, it's headache-free growth. And then what's the unique mechanism? Maybe it's like a specific system that you've built that's tailored for marketing agency owners. Maybe if it's a specific tech system that you've built for, growing Bay Area businesses. Like whatever it may be, it just has to be something unique. Like that's one of the biggest things that we see with the tech market is when they try and go out to a cold market, they position themselves as a commodity because they haven't had to really go through the exercises of like, what is that offer that's going to set us apart and make this a no-brainer for somebody to click on my ad, get on a sales call with me. Because when you do offer some sort of service like, I managed IT services, there's a lot of MSPs out there and you have to find a way to actually make a compelling offer that is a no-brainer offer for that ICP that you're going after. And that's really the biggest thing that we're just talking about constantly is how can we find that winning cold traffic offer for our clients? Because once you find a winning cold traffic offer, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Because a winning cold traffic offer means that you can just start plugging it into different channels. Like our preferred channel is ads. And once we know that we have a winning angle on ads, then it's just all about scaling that up and it just becomes an ATM for us.
I was just going to say, that's what I would probably leave this recording at today is saying, to me, the biggest thing I always say is like ICP plus pain points plus a winning offer equals a ever growing ATM. Like that's all it is. If you have those three, it's literally just an ATM. You put, your card in and you get, revenue back out.
And it sounds like too simple, right? It sounds too easy, but I think we're a great example of that is like, until we found our winning offer, we wrestled with all sorts of different, marketing methods. We wrestled with cold email and LinkedIn outreach and dabbling with ads. And we thought, hey, it's a platform issue, or it's like, we didn't know what was going on. But then once we found that winning offer for us, now it's a beautiful thing because like we've run enough ads with that winning offer that we know exactly how much we're going to pay for every opt-in. We know exactly how much we're going to pay for every booked call. And we know that for every booked call we get, we're going to close, at least 25% of those calls that we get booked. And if we know
we're so bored now that we get to do stuff like this, which is fun stuff.
Exactly. Because we know like, hey, if we want 15 deals in July, 15 deals in July at a $2,000 customer acquisition cost means we just got to spend $30,000 on ads. And to Terrence's point, we're greater than 95% confident, because we know our numbers, that if we put $30,000 in ad spend in this month, we're going to get at least 15 deals out. And it's not like we're doing anything crazy. It's just we found a winning cold traffic offer. And that's what a winning cold traffic offer allows you to do, is have that, ATM.
Does. All right. Cool. Well, I think those are two pretty good points for the week. So
perfect. Well, we'll be back again next week to share the next two things that we learned next week.
I'm going to spend all week working on it. I had plenty of time now.
All right, man. We'll talk later.
See ya.